Even my 5-star books that I've talked about like 4 years ago, I don't even like those books anymore. Hi everybody. I feel like I haven't talked to you in a really long time, which is like not even true, but I don't think I filmed a sit down video yet this entire year. All the sit down videos I filmed this year, I actually filmed last year. So I'm here with you today in my bedroom, which I never filmed in here, with my bookshelf that we're gonna get into. This is the bookshelf in my room. I have a cup of coffee and my journal, and I need to talk to you guys. I've been meaning to film this video all January, and now it's like the very last week of January and I'm finally sitting down and doing it. The reason I haven't filmed any sit down videos is because I've had guests staying with me since like January 2nd. I had my childhood best friend, then my brother, then my hometown best friend, then my childhood best friend came back, and now no more guests and I can film and sit down and talk to you guys, because this is something that's been on my mind, and I talked about it like briefly in vlogs, but I thought I'd film like a whole video talking about it and also doing my TBR. This is something I've been thinking about all of 2023 and really focusing on in 2024, especially because my channel focuses a lot around books, and that's kind of how it started and grown from there. So I feel like this is just something we should talk about. Also, I'm gonna put this coffee down. If you watched my every single book I read in 2023 video, I expressed that it was hard for me to pick 20 favorite books. I couldn't even like come up with the top 20. I could barely come up with the top 10. I just felt like I had a very reading year, even though I read over 100 books. There was not a lot that stood out as being really great to me. Almost every single book I read last year was a contemporary romance, because that's what I grew up loving. So I've always associated that genre with what my favorite books would be and what I would enjoy in the books that I seek out. And then as last year went on, I was like, maybe this just isn't for me anymore. Like, it still is. I still love a contemporary romance, but I definitely think I learned that I need to expand my palette and expand my horizons and try new things, even if it's like a little daunting to step into a new genre or to try something that you might end up hating and wasting your time, but you won't know if you don't try, right? So that's what I was thinking like all of 2023. I was like, okay, I just need to try something new. I need to try something new. I read one fantasy book in 2023 and it was like my favorite book of the year. I think that was kind of an eye-opening experience. And then my other favorite book that I read was a nonfiction memoir, which was, so those were The Fourth Wing and Everything I Know About Love. I read Everything I Know About Love like 2 years ago, but I reread it last year and it just like solidified like I need more books like this. With all of those little epiphanies I was having about my reading journey and why I was struggling to find books that I loved, and I wasn't feeling like I could passionately recommend things anymore because there was just not a lot of books that I was really passionate about, I realized that I just needed to switch up my genre. So that's what today's video is going to be, like my TBR for 2024, things I've already started reading, things I'm looking forward to reading. I'm going to show you all the books that I have on my list and just talk about them. But also, I wanted to say, because I've been documenting my reading journey since I was like 18 years old and I'm 22 now, when I was 18 and I started posting about books, I was reading books that, first of all, I don't even remember what they were about at this point. If I were to read them now, would I enjoy them? Probably not, because people's opinions grow and change as you get older. Back then, I didn't have a lot of books that I could compare them to because I just started becoming like a super mega reader. So there's books that I have recommended on this channel that people tell me they read now and they're like, I didn't like that book. And I'm like, yeah, well, I recommended it when I was 18. So I probably wouldn't like it now either. I felt like I was kind of constricted into a box of reading and recommending contemporary romance, and it would stress me out to think about reading other things because I didn't know if you guys would want to hear about other things. I didn't know if I was going to enjoy other things. I didn't want to waste my time, and I wanted to so badly just like find books within contemporary romance that I love, because there are so many that I do love, but they just weren't hitting. And reading 100 books back to back and only like 5 of them really hitting, it's not fun. It was not like an enjoyable reading year, and I was also forcing myself to finish books that I did not like at all, and it was just starting to feel like a chore to read because I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm really like forcing myself to read these different book tropes, or like a lot of books I would get recommended off TikTok, and I feel like a lot of the TikTok romance section is a lot of like spicy books and like dark romance, which is like not what I like at all. So I was reading a bunch of books I was getting recommended off TikTok. I wasn't liking anything. I was wondering why I wasn't liking anything, and I'm like, because I'm taking these recommendations from TikTok when I know I don't really like this style and genre of book. So I was just struggling. And then I would not DNF these books that I didn't like. Like, I'd be like 20% in being like, I hate this, and I would still force myself to finish, and then it would end up stretching over a course of like 2 weeks of me forcing myself to read a few chapters every single night, and it was just not enjoyable. And so this year, one of my goals is to DNF books when I don't like them. If I don't like a book, I'm not finishing it. Put it down. Why are you forcing yourself to finish it? Like, there's no reason to do that. I also don't have a reading goal for the amount of books I want to read this year. I feel like last year my goal was 100 books, and like I was reading a lot and not DNFing books because I wanted to reach that goal, and I feel like that defeats the purpose of reading for fun. Like, why would you like force yourself and cram yourself to read all these books instead of just like taking your time and finding books you enjoy and taking your time with them? So yeah, those are just some like little realizations I was having, and I was like, I just didn't know how I felt or how to voice it or whatever. So that's just like how I've been feeling recently in regards to books. It's also why I don't do like trope recommendation videos anymore. It's just like I don't have enough books to recommend anymore. Like when I first started my channel, obviously I had so many books to recommend because I had like a whole arsenal of books I'd read for like years prior to starting my channel. But then I've already recommended all of those. A lot of them I wouldn't even recommend anymore. And a lot of like even my 5-star books that I've talked about like 4 years ago, I don't even like those books anymore. I feel like also that's like one thing that I struggle with is like I don't know how to explain that. Like I just like people change. You guys have changed too. Everyone changes. Everyone's taste changes. Everyone grows up. Everyone grows into new things. And like I don't want to be like feel like I just because I've posted something in the past be like I have to stand by that. Like no, there are a lot of books that I've read in the past that I would not recommend anymore at all. And I wouldn't reread them. Like if I read them today from my perspective that I have now as like a more mature adult, I wouldn't enjoy them and I would find things that are wrong with them. So I feel like we have to like give each other space to like learn and grow as well, because you're allowed to change your opinions. That's one thing I also am learning. You're allowed to change your mind. Okay, so anyways, I've been talking for a long time, so I thought I'd get into my TBR. I'm gonna start in this room and then we're gonna move to the library, because this shelf, if you watch my vlogs, you saw me organize it, but this whole shelf is books that aren't contemporary romance, or if they are contemporary romance, they're like books I've already read, I had duplicates of. These are like mostly books that are just like literary fiction, I think, that I've been wanting to read, and I haven't because of all the reasons I just said. So I think, should we just go through? The main reason I want to do this, I don't know if I've ever really done a TBR video before, but I want your guys' input. Like if you guys have read these books, let me know, because I do value your opinions. And if you've read these and you also like branch out into other genres, or if you're also just feel like you're growing and maturing in your book taste and you don't really know what fits you anymore, I'm in the same boat. The reason I had my journal though is because I had like a whole list written out of all the books that I genuinely want to read. Okay, you're really close to me now. Like I said, I really love Everything I Know About Love, which is a memoir. So I have Conversations on Love by Natasha Lunn, and Dolly Alderton, who's the author of Everything I Know About Love, is featured in this book. And I've had this book for years and never picked it up, so I think it's finally time. One of my favorite books ever is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, which again isn't contemporary romance. I still haven't read this other one. I think it's Circe, hopefully I'm saying that right. Greek mythology retelling, and I want to read this year so bad. But I'm also like low-key scared because The Song of Achilles like changed the course of my life and like made me cry and like made me reevaluate my existence, and then I went and got a tattoo for it. So is that gonna happen to me again? I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. Oh, I wanna read the rest of Sally Rooney's books. You guys know Normal People is my favorite book of all time. Like #1 top standalone, which I have her right here and right here, but I have another one in the other room. So I wanna read Conversations with Friends, same with Beautiful World, Where Are You? If He Had Been With Me by Lauren Nolan. I think this is a romance, is this? Am I wrong? I know it's sad, but I've been saving it for when I want to read a sad book. I've had this book because of the title, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. I bought this years ago and still never picked it up. This is one of the ones that I feel like I want to read when I'm traveling. Like I can picture myself like on a train, being like a mysterious girl reading a intellectual book. Love, Rosie, I got sent because it's my favorite movie. Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. I've had that for years, never read. I've read these two, What We Talk About When We Talk About Love, Normal People. Alone with You in the Ether. Is it Ether or Ether? Ether. I have been wanting to read this book. I have the self-published one, okay, which just shows you how long I've had this book, probably 4 or 5 years. Every single time I go to pick it up, I'm like, no, it's not the right time, because everyone's like, it's if you like Normal People, you'll love Alone with You in the Ether. If I read another book that changes my life the way Normal People does, I don't know who I will become. And that's my problem, is I know I'm gonna enjoy it, so I put it off. Why is that my personality? I hate that so much. And then The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, again, another one that's been on my TBR for years that I need to read. It's also romance. I think it's like a little bit of fantasy as well. I've read these. Dear Dolly by Dolly Alderton is her other memoir, which I need to read. Why don't I read it? I don't know. 7 Days in June by Tia Williams is a romance, and I've heard it's insanely good, so I want to read that. The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, same author as Alone with You in the Ether. I also have the self-published one. I think that one's like dark academia vibes. Okay, now let's move you up. Okay, then up here we have my little toast jelly cat. But book-wise, Writers and Lovers. I don't know what this is about at all, but I love the cover of it so much and the title of it. Everything I Never Told You. Someone Who Will Love You in All Your Damaged Glory. I need to read this just because the title is so good. Before the Coffee Gets Cold, I want to read this whole series. Oh no. I have They Both Die at the end. I don't know if I'll ever read it because I got the whole thing pretty much told to me by TikTok. Ghost by Dolly Alderton, I really want to read. I've already read My Policeman. The Midnight Library, I want to read that soon. A lot of people were telling me, I forget what I was talking about in a vlog. I think I was talking about how there's so many different things I want to do in life and like there's not enough time to do all of them, like own a bakery and live on a countryside with like my cats and just read books all day. But I also want to live in New York City and be a businesswoman. I also just want to live in a beach town and surf every day and like live out of a van and also just make travel videos. There's so many different lives I want to live and not enough time to live all of them. And everyone was like, have you read The Midnight Library? And I was like, no, I haven't. But now that you mention it, I will. Another big one I want to read this year is Lessons in Chemistry. I haven't watched the TV show because I want to read the book first. I think these are both memoirs. I Never Said I Love You, Life, Death, and Unsaid Things, and What My Mother and I Don't Talk About. I just bought these for the title. I'm gonna be honest. I've never heard anyone talk about them. I think that's everything in here that like I'm really looking forward to reading. And then we'll go into the library and talk fantasy. Fantasy is my current genre hyperfixation. Romantasy, not fantasy. I won't say fantasy because I haven't read a fantasy book yet. I've mainly read like low fantasy romantasies only. You're gonna have to excuse like the terrible lighting because I only have like an overhead light in here. I still don't have a lamp or anything. The book I just read, Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Not that this was like the best like literature ever. That's not what I'm saying. You guys know that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the romance was everything I've been waiting to feel for so long reading normal contemporary romance. And then it made me realize that what I'm missing is I need the element, the fantasy aspect, the outside plot, the full story that's building that adds so much to the romance. Reading this, I just also finished Iron Flame. I read Iron Flame and then I read this right after. Reading books where there is like a lot more depth and a lot more plot and a lot more story and a lot more world building, it makes the romance all the more better. Like I can't imagine going from this to then reading like an office romance. You know what I mean? Not that there's anything wrong with an office romance, but I can't imagine like the comparison between the two because this is so like high stakes, like we're gonna kill each other, knife to the throat, slow dancing scene, using our magical powers, almost dying, saving each other, like angry love confessions, like shit like that. Like you just aren't gonna get from like reading a normal contemporary romance for the most part, which I can say because this entire library is contemporary romance, okay? I'm not hating. I'm saying it coming from a place of someone who's just discovering really late to the game and like now realizing the hype. Like I'm so happy because this was such a slow burn. I mean, only the first out of 3 books is out. I cannot wait for the book to come out in July, but this is what I've been looking for. Like the feelings that this stirred up in me, I could cry, okay? So that's what I've recently read. I finished Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Those are the only other 2 fantasies. And then I'm currently reading, I only have the Dust Jacket because I have the book in my bag, but this is another fantasy or romantasy, I think, Divine Rivals. Then the only other fantasy books I own, but I'm gonna try to start collecting more. Okay, I'm gonna turn you around here. These, Once Upon a Broken Heart, The Ballad of Never After. I need to get the 3rd one. I have the British ones because my friend Ellie sent them to me. Based on those ones though, I need you guys to tell me, should I read Caraval? I need like a decisive opinion. Like, is it worth it to read the Caraval series before that? Like, will I enjoy it? Is there good romance? Please tell me because I think that will be my next series read. I also have ACOTAR. One of my friends actually just sent me the first one annotated, so that's really fun. Everyone's been up my ass to read this, and honestly, I don't know why I've been putting it off. Mainly because I'm scared of it. As you can tell, that's like a lot of my personality is me being scared of reading books that I know I'm gonna get obsessed with. I also have the entire Grishaverse, Six of Crows like series right here. I have Sea of Ruin. What else do I have? I think I have Crow Prince somewhere. Do I? And then I also have these 2 that I want to finish. The Annihilator and the Finisher by Runnix. They're the last 2 books in the Darkverse, which I loved the Darkverse because it's like mafia romance, so there's like a lot more plot. And I think that's just what I'm looking for. I need more of a story that's gonna like rip my heart out because it's like not just like 2 people falling in love. There's also like so many external factors that are either keeping them apart, pushing them together, and adding to the story. Like reading Fourth Wing changed my life, not even just because of the book, but because it opened my eyes to like what I've been wanting and missing out on. So I'm very grateful. I just love like an epic romance. As you can tell by my favorites shelf, like the Addicted series and like all these series that are just like long epic romances. Like that's just what I'm longing for. Oh, I want to read the 7-Year Slip. I've been talking about that. One of my subscribers annotated for me. I do have a lot more contemporary romances that I want to read, but I think I'm gonna read them more sporadically, you know? Like I'm not gonna read them back to back to back to back. I think that's how I got into my rut in the first place. So yeah, if you have more recommendations for romantasies for me, please do let me know. I don't know if this video is gonna be too short or if it's fine. I feel like I rambled a lot, so it's probably fine. But yeah, that's my kind of like book feelings recently. And I wanted to just like put it all out there and talk to you guys about it instead of just like randomly talking about it in vlogs, and then like you're randomly gonna see a reading wrap up and it's gonna be all different genres that I've like never talked about in my life. You're gonna be like, wait, what happened? I thought this was romance girl, which I'm still gonna be romance girl, and I always will be. And some of my favorite books of all time are romances, so don't get me wrong, I'll forever be a romance girl, but I'm branching out to like romantasy. And also I know that I enjoy memoirs, and I know I enjoy books like normal people, like more literary fic. I think that's not the genre, and I sound stupid. I'm sorry. Never claimed to be a genius. That's everything I wanted to say. Please, please, please give me all of your recommendations, things you think I would enjoy, things that would help me if you've been feeling the same way, books that helped you when you felt like you were getting a little bit in a rut. And if you want to see like vlogs of me reading, let me know, because I do love a good reading vlog. Hope you enjoyed hearing me ramble and talk about books a little bit, but that's gonna be the end of today's video. If you want to follow me in my other social medias, they're all linked down below as always, and I'll see you in my next video very, very soon. Bye!